Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the June 12th meeting of the Downers Grove Village Council. My name is Bill White. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem of the Village of Downers Grove, and I'll be chairing the meeting this evening in the absence of Mayor Martin Tully, who's out of town. With that, we begin all our meetings by standing and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I've asked the village clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace? Here. Commissioner Earl? Commissioner Waldeck?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Here.
Commissioner Jose? Commissioner Barnett?
Here.
Mayor Tully?
Okay, we have a total of 4 members, which does constitute a quorum, so we are able to proceed this evening. I'll just take a couple minutes to explain what's going to happen. There's going to be multiple opportunities for public comment. In just a couple of minutes after we approve the minutes, there'll be an opportunity for people to come to the podium and address us on matters that are not appearing on this evening's agenda. And then any items that we're voting on, you'll have a chance to speak to us before we vote. And items that we're not voting on first reading, I'll explain more about this later after council has an initial chance to discuss it. Members of the audience can come forward and speak about that. And as we go along, I'll let you know when there's opportunities for public comment on this. So with this, the next item on our agenda, the chair invites a motion to approve our minutes from our prior meeting.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve the prior council meeting minutes from June 5th, 2018 as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved unanimously. There we are, item 4. Item 4 is public comments of a general nature. If there's anybody here this evening that wishes to address council on items that are not appearing on this evening's agenda, now's your opportunity. Come to the podium, state your name and address, and let us know what you have to say. You know, let's all come at once. You can take turns. Okay, going once, going twice? Okay, to take care of public comments. Item 5 is the consent agenda. The chair invites a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there anybody in the audience which has any comment to make regarding any item on the consent agenda this evening? Please.
Very briefly, I'm Carolyn Surf from the American Heart Association. I left messages for a few of you who had been so supportive at the last meeting about our issue of Tobacco 21. And I just wanted to thank you for putting a resolution in support of Tobacco 21 on the consent agenda tonight. We're going to need all the expressions of support we can with Governor Rauner to sign the statewide legislation. And I just want to say I hope that the city will still continue a path forward to do an ordinance in time for the start of the school year as well, because of the January 1st effective date of the statewide legislation. It makes it such that even in an ideal world where the governor signs the T21 bill into law, it wouldn't be in effect in time to for the start of the school year. And it's the start of the school year. You may have seen, I know Mayor Tully received today a letter from the superintendent of D99 schools today, and in that letter he also urged that an additional ordinance get passed before the start of the school year. So I would love to hear from you guys as to next steps, and from city staff as to next steps in terms of potentially getting an ordinance prepared in time to do that for the school year. But of course I leave it to your discretion, and I'm just really grateful that we're even having this discussion, really. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Unfortunately, under the parliamentary rules, if we were to discuss it now, we'd have to remove it from the consent agenda. I can say, though, that the issue is not going away. This is simply the first step, and we'll be looking at taking more steps in the future. Anybody else have a comment on an item on this evening's consent agenda? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Aye. The consent agenda is approved unanimously. Item 6 on our agenda is our active agenda. These are 2 items which will be presented one at a time. After they're presented, council will make a final decision on those this evening. The procedure is there'll be a motion and a second, in which case we'll open it up for public comment on those items. And after that, council will deliberate, and I anticipate we will be voting on both items. Active agenda item 6A is an ordinance to amend certain traffic provisions. The chair invites a motion with respect to that item.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to adopt an ordinance amending traffic provisions as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anybody in the audience care to address council regarding the proposed ordinance to amend certain provisions regarding traffic? Going once, going twice. Any further council discussion? We did discuss this at a first reading in the past, so this isn't the first time that we've discussed this up here. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Burnett?
Aye.
Mayor White?
Aye. That item also passes unanimously. The second item is item 6B, and it's making certain technical corrections to the Board of Police and Fire Commissioners. The chair invites a motion with respect to that item.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to adopt an ordinance amending the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners provisions as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Once again, any in the audience have any comments regarding this item? Seeing none, any comments from my fellow board members? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Burnett?
Aye.
Mayor White?
Aye. That item is passed unanimously. This brings us to item 7 on our agenda, which is first reading. And the first reading is the first time, or often the first time, that a matter comes before the village council. No decision will be made this evening on any of the items on first reading. This is an opportunity for village staff to acquaint us and the public with the item. We can ask questions, people in the public can ask questions, and at some future point, it would move to the active agenda, which we just concluded the active agenda for this evening. With that, I hand the floor over to the village manager, who may delegate that to someone else, and we'll proceed.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem White. There are 6 items on tonight's first reading agenda, really 3 discussion issues. The first is consideration of an ordinance about a development proposal in the 6,000 block of Fairview Avenue. Here to present background information on this petition is our Community Development Director, Stan Popovich.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you, Manager Fieldman. As Manager Fieldman noted, the first item is a plan unit development, rezoning and platted subdivision for the construction of a 13-unit townhome on the west side of Fairview Avenue between 59th Street and 63rd Street, shown on the map here. If we zoom in a little bit, you can see the site here outlined in yellow, which is on the west side of Fairview Avenue. The proposal here, the site is now outlined in blue, will construct 5 townhome buildings shown here in yellow, constructed around a ring road. There would be 2 access points out to Fairview Avenue. Stormwater would be taken care of with 2 rain gardens in either corner, and then a detention basin between the private drive and Fairview Avenue. You can also see a private sidewalk as well on the site plan there as well. And then this is an image of the proposed 4-unit building that's going in there. The proposal does not comply with the comprehensive plan, specifically the future land use plan. You can see on this map here, pointed in red, if you zoom in a little bit, this future land use plan, the comp plan, identifies this as a single-family detached housing for this parcel and for the majority of the surrounding parcels around there. So you see some institutional uses in the blue-gray there, and then down in the lower right-hand corner is a commercial area there. So you can see in the comprehensive plan, it's all designated single-family detached. The proposal is for attached single-family. Additionally, in the residential area plans here, if we blow up a little bit, the residential area plan shows that it is a single-family detached neighborhood in a modified grid pattern. Again, this does not call for the multifamily anywhere in this immediate area. So this proposal does not comply with the comprehensive plan. The proposal also does not comply with the current zoning map. And you can see here, there's all these R1, R3s, and R2s, which are single-family detached residential zoning districts. The proposal is to convert that to an R5, which is an attached residential attached housing 5 designation. So in the immediate area, this proposal does not comply as well. With regard to the standards, we find that the plan unit development standards are not met, the rezoning criteria are not met, and specifically with the plat of subdivision, those standards are not met either, specifically with regard to the private road with the road width and the right-of-way width are not met. So for those reasons, staff does not support the petition. If there's any questions that you have at this time, I can answer those for you as well. The petitioner is here as well to give a brief presentation.
Any questions for staff? Okay, I guess we'll hear briefly from the petitioner.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Liam Kent with Kent & Associates. Along with me tonight is Pete Walsh from Walsh Development and Mike Hansen from Watermark Engineering. The development we are proposing is the Villas of Abshire Woods. And here are some pictures of the existing, this is the site plan, which Stan has already shown you. Here we have pictures of the existing site. I'll just walk you through them real quick. And then, just want to go over a little thing. As of June 4th, 2018, according to the Multiple Listing Service, there are 337 single-family homes on the market in Downers Grove. The average market time for single-family homes is 104 days. There are 44 townhomes on the market in Downers Grove. Only 4 townhomes have master bedrooms on the first floor, and 3 of those 4 are under construction, or under contract, I'm sorry. And the average market time for attached single-family homes is 57 days. Currently, there are 22 properties on Fairview Avenue in Downers Grove for sale. The average market time for properties on Fairview Avenue is 995 days. We believe, we have listened to the citizens of Downers Grove and their housing needs. We have taken a large gamble to help provide housing products that is so needed in this community. This development would bring quite a bit of tax dollars to the communities and schools without much impact. The average townhome with the price of $550,000, taxes are around $10,000, with roughly $4,700 going to the grammar school and junior high district, and $2,500 going to the high school. That is $93,600 to the school district per year, with little or no impact on the district. Over a 10-year span, computed with an increase in taxes, you're looking over $1 million for the Downers Grove School District. And we are also donating $140,000 to the school and park up front with this development. The village of Apsher Woods consists of 13 townhomes. The streets and driveways will be permeable pavers, which help direct rainfall away from the storm sewer system and back into a natural ecosystem. We understand that the residents have a concern with the flooding in the area. Any flooding that occurs in the area will be greatly decreased by our detention and our rain garden alleviating their flooding concerns. The building itself will consist of Eaton natural stone material, driftwood shingles, hardy board, and the streets will be unilock granite. The townhomes will have master bedrooms on the first floor with an option for a master on the second. This is a great plan for individuals with aging parents, where they can have their parents live on the first floor and then they can be on the second. The first floor will be an open concept with a large kitchen and island overlooking the family room and a flex room, laundry room, and powder room. The main level will also have 10-foot ceilings, 9-foot on the second floor and the basement. The price point for each of these townhomes will be $550,000 to $575,000. And they will have their own PIN number and a fee simple ownership. The staff required us to do a private road here. However, the road width is a standard size for a public road. And we have the required right-of-way and the correct setback of the townhomes and sidewalks on the site. The issue is we don't have the proper right-of-way on the detention side of the road. If these townhomes are plotted as a subdivision, they would meet the requirement of the side and rear yard setbacks. And then while reading the comprehensive plan, there is a need for this type of product in this location for the residents of Downers Grove. According to the comprehensive plan, I just want to go over a few noteworthy things from the comprehensive plan. First, 80% of residential properties in Downers Grove are owner-occupied. Single-family residents must maintain a flexible and considered content. There may be situations where single-family attached and multi-family use may be appropriate within a single-family detached area. For example, street frontage, lot depth, presence of neighboring non-residential use should be considered on a case-by-case basis. Secondly, the senior population will see the largest increase population between 65 and 74 will grow 25%, and the population from 75 and up will increase 16% in the village of Downers Grove. Thirdly, the largest increase of household is projected to occur among households ages 55 to 74. Fourth, the age and income shift projected to occur among the village household population may have an impact on social demand for the range of housing products. The number of households in the 35 to 55-year-old is decreasing, and the empty nester household is growing. In a typical market, empty nester households comprise a significant portion of these purchasing multi-family units. The anticipated growth in the village household population over the age of 55, particularly among the higher income household, may be accomplished by increasing demand of multi-home products. It should be emphasized, and this is in the comprehensive plan, that the land use plan is a general guideline for growth and development within the village and provide a foundation for future decision-making and not a site development plan. While the detailed documents provide specific guidelines on land use decisions, it is also intended to be significantly flexible to accommodate unique and compelling circumstances and consideration of creative approaches to development that are not consistent with the overall policies and guidelines in the comprehensive plan. Lastly, multifamily residential areas provide a wide variety of housing options to our village residents, especially young household, empty nesters, and senior citizens, all of which been identified as a growing market in the village. Multifamily resident developments are commonly found along arterial streets and often provide a transitional land use between single-family residence and commercial. We believe we have taken steps to minimize any adverse effects from careful site design, beautiful architectural design, and sustainable materials in this development. Our hardworking group, along with the staff, has worked very hard to come up with plans that the homeowners will be happy to call the Village of Apsher Woods their home. We would appreciate your support on this development, and we thank you. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Anyone have questions for the petitioner? Okay, then anybody have any initial thoughts? Not necessarily questions for the petitioner, initial thoughts. This is first reading, so we get the first bite at the apple, so to speak. Commissioner Arnett?
I've got some, Bill. I appreciate you guys wanting to develop here in Downers Grove, I really do. And there's a lot, as I read through this and listen to the presentation, there's a lot about this that is appealing and makes sense. What I struggle with is that we put a lot of effort into reviewing and keeping up to date our comprehensive plan and our future land use maps. And when you talk about unique circumstances and flexibility, I struggle a little bit with the idea that there's something particularly unique about this section other than maybe its current condition. And I guess I have a hard time thinking that current condition or market statistics would drive one-off variations from the comprehensive plan. They may drive comprehensive plan changes. There's a lot of value in what you guys have presented that I think is worth considering. But I'm reluctant. We've had opportunities in the past to vary from the comprehensive plan, and they've gone both ways, where the public liked what happened and where the public didn't like what happened. But we've tried to generally follow that because there's a lot of time and effort engaging us, engaging our other committees, and engaging the public on what should be in that comprehensive plan. So I'm not deciding anything tonight because we don't have to decide anything tonight, but right now I'm reluctant to think that this is a good situation for which we should vary from the comprehensive plan. That's my thoughts for the moment.
Other thoughts right now? Commissioner Waldeck.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I share Commissioner Barnett's thoughts on this. Design materials and all that are, that's all appreciated going through all this process. But there's a place for this somewhere, but not particularly here. A lot of thought and planning has gone into their zoning. Planned unit developments, there's the comp plan. There's a lot of time and effort to examine and make up these plans over time, and almost out of the box, we're asked to make a change. And this is no small change, and I think I need to respect the plans that we have out there and the effort, and the zoning decision also. We have feedback from them. So I am inclined not to be supporting this as well.
Mr. Wallace, you say anything at this time?
Sure. I will go ahead and keep mine brief, just to echo my colleagues. I tend to agree. These are absolutely beautiful, and I do think that they have a place somewhere in town. I just don't think this location is the best one. We also have boards and commissions where we have people that help guide in our decisions. And so I'd like to take what the Plan Commission recommended into consideration as well. But again, I tend to agree with my colleagues at this time.
Unfortunately, there's not much land left in Downers Grove for the citizens of Downers Grove. Okay, and here's, Fairview is, it's zoned residential, but, people don't want to live on Fairview with small children and backing up onto Fairview. This alleviates all that with a street that, this is what the citizens of Downers Grove are really asking for. And I don't know if you specifically in the comprehensive plan really specify that location, or you go down a little bit farther, in Westmont, you have apartment buildings, and a little bit farther south you have commercial. And there's a lot on the market there, and those houses have been sitting there for a very long time, like 995 days. And so, just think that, this area is just a prime area for what the people of Downers Grove and the comprehensive plan is stating that kind of need.
Well, thank you. What I'd like to do now is offer just a few comments of my own, and then we can hear from people in the audience, because we have a lot of people from Downers Grove who are here this evening who may have comments about this. We are not voting this evening, so you can have a seat now. So after I speak, we'll let people for other people from the audience chance, and then you can come back at the end and respond to anything that you may have heard from the audience. So thank you for the presentation. And my brief comments are consistent with the other ones I've heard this evening. I'm not saying if we were to consider Fairview as a whole, there's things to consider both ways. But I basically agree with Commissioner Barnett, and I go a little bit farther by saying that if it's appropriate here, there's sites a few blocks north, a few blocks south. It's appropriate there, too. I don't see anything that's unique about this part of Fairview Avenue. About 10 years ago, there was a very well-developed proposal to build townhomes or condominiums on the west side of Fairview at what's now Lindgrimmer Court. And the council in the end voted no because it was inconsistent with the future land use map and the comprehensive plan. If we have the power to change the future land use map, not just for this parcel. It shouldn't be onesies, twosies. It should be in a larger comprehensive way. And I'm not saying how we think about that, but that's the process I think that we would have to follow were we to do this. So I'm inclined to support my colleagues this evening, agree with them, and that we really can't pull out one parcel and make an exception for it. That's where I'm thinking right now. Again, it's first reading. As I hear more, I can change my mind, but as of right now, that's where I'm leaning. So I'd like to offer a chance to those people, I assume that this is what you're here to talk about, to come to the microphone and let us know your thoughts about this proposal. Please state your name and address and let us know what you...
My name is Howard Dorian. I own the property adjacent to 6014. I'm at 6044, and I can see this without a doubt. It would enhance the property greatly. And if you look on the east side of Fairview, there's nothing but apartments there. These are multifamily, but much nicer. And I would welcome it.
Anybody else?
lived in Downers Grove with my husband and raised my 2 daughters here for over 26 years. I retired from a law enforcement career with the Federal Justice Department, and then I began my career in real estate here in Downers Grove. And I've been enjoying a very successful second career. I can tell you as a resident for 26 years and as a realtor, you need luxury townhouses in Downers Grove that have first floor master bed and master baths. I could rattle off 3 clients in the past 12 months. We are downsizing. People are empty nesters, me and my peers. They are leaving their 4,000 square foot houses, and they want to stay in Downers Grove for everything that Downers Grove has to offer. They have nothing here to stay for. I had one 3,800 square foot house on the north side. We looked. I showed them a couple developments, new developments in Downers Grove. Nothing with that first floor master. They bought in Oak Brook Terrace on 22nd Street for about $450,000. Another one of my clients currently is looking. There is nothing out there. We are now reluctantly in Naperville and Clarendon Hills. You are losing out on a lot of money from my peers in the upper brackets of the big houses that want to stay, and they're not staying. They're leaving in droves. And I can tell you, if you're waiting for lots, I have listed lots on Fairview. I have listed houses on Fairview. People do not want big family single houses on Fairview, period. I don't care how nice it is, I don't care how cheap it is, they don't want their kids on Fairview. I had them up north on the north side. I had one developer that was interested in developing my lots, wanted to put townhouses. He came, he knew the whole process, Downers Grove shut him down. He's building those exact same townhouses in Elmhurst for over $650,000. My next clients are probably going to be going up to Elmhurst because they have that product. I think you're missing the boat if not changing your development. Those lots, all on Fairview up and down, are going to sit blighted for a very, very, very long time. And you'll have to put up with the nuances that come with it. I wish you could hear my clients. I wish you could hear my neighbors. And I wish you could hear some of the other realtors in the area. You're missing the boat on this. If not here, you tell us where, because there's no zoning anywhere for these.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Maggie Meyer, 217 White Pond Trail. Mayor and council members, I'm here tonight to voice my concerns and that of my neighbors in the Deer Creek neighborhood for the proposed development that's being discussed now. I have reviewed the proposed plans and have read the notes provided by the village staff. While I do not oppose the project to add attached multifamily homes to Downers Grove, I have huge concerns about this location and the impact to the surrounding areas. As you know, the areas surrounding these lots suffer from flooding and are greatly impacted by stormwater. As Mayor Tully has said before, many homes that exist now should not have been built in areas they are currently in. While the impact may not be felt initially, it will at some point down the road. Why impact an area you know is a problem and has not yet been addressed? 60th Street in Fairview is often closed during heavy rains and can take days to drain. Anything north of this area will also be affected, including the Deer Creek neighborhood. Over the years in meetings with Public Works and Downers Grove Stormwater Management, I have been told time and time again that water coming from the south of us is a huge problem. Building 13 homes where there are currently 2 is irresponsible. We ask that you please follow village guidance and oppose this development. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to address council on this topic?
Hello, my name is Robert Brannigan. I live at 7338 Bayberry Road in Downers Grove. I am also a realtor, and I have been following the plan, and Downers Grove really needs it. I have been on 4 listing appointments this year, all baby boomers, all wanting to downsize their home, and they have nowhere to go. Everybody wants the same thing. They want the first floor, master bedroom, first floor, master bath. They don't care if there's an upstairs for the grandkid and their family, but the biggest problem right now, they don't have anywhere to go. You're doing some building downtown, and that's great, but not everybody wants to be by the train. They don't want to listen to it. So this proposal is really ideal, and there are a lot of people just in this area who already live here who would be all over it. So, thank you.
McNeely. I live in the Pierce Downer area in Downers Grove. I'm also a Realtor with Elaine Kent. To echo the same thing Elaine said, many of my clients have the same conversations. I'm looking to downsize in the next 1 or 2 years. Does this townhome have a first floor master? In most of the open houses I do, the answer is no. So their only option is to leave the area or consider a condo downtown Downers, which is fine, but a condo doesn't usually meet the same requirement as a townhome. People who buy townhomes typically like to pull into their driveway, carry their groceries in, and they kind of have a single-family home feel, which is a lot of times what boomers like to have as they transition from their regular home. So kind of what everyone else has said, this is a product that is desperately needed in the area, and if not, those people are going to leave the area for sure. Thank you.
My name is William Ponstein. I live at 6012 Hillcrest Court in Downers Grove. I've been a resident for over 60 years. This is definitely just spot zoning. They come up here and they talk about a need for bedrooms on the first floor for aging downsizers. They could do this in a single-family subdivision just as easy. This is basically just a way of cramming more houses, more residences on a small piece of property when they could provide everything they're asking for in single-family homes. So I'm definitely not in favor. I own 5 lots just 300 feet north of the property. They're all single-family, roughly a third of an acre, and I don't think this project would help me at all. Thank you.
Excuse me, does your property, Mr. Ponstein?
Yes.
Yes, does your property adjoin this property?
No, there's I'm going to guess 250 feet between. And the other thing I didn't like about this was they're asking for a variance on the width also to put them even closer to the lot line. I think they're asking for a waiver of the 50-foot side yard setback. They want to go down to 20 feet or something. I can't remember exactly what they said. But that's even trying to cram more. It's nothing but a ploy to get more on their property so they can get a bigger dollar for it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other people have comments?
Yes. I'm also a realtor in Downers Grove.
State your name, please.
Teresa Pell. As other realtors have said, honestly, everybody lives longer these days. I have arthritis. I don't want to be climbing stairs. I don't want to live in an elevated building. I want them to be someplace where I can have my kids and their kids live with me while I'm comfortable not climbing stairs. There's going to be a point where everyone's living longer. There's going to be a point where all of you are going to feel the same way I do. And I think it is a great addition to the area. I can't see it being a down in any way whatsoever. There's a need for it, a big need for it. And that's what I have to say.
My name is Mike Muller. I reside in Elburn, Illinois. I represent a family that owns some property for sale just south of...
In what capacity, a real estate agent, attorney, or what?
I'm
You're speaking for them?
Yes.
Okay.
Their property's been for sale for almost 4 years now. They're just south of 63rd Street, across from the commercial building. I've been in the construction business for 35 years. I've reached out to every contractor, every home builder that I've worked with, from Drendel to Charleston to Lake West. Nobody wants to build a single-family house on Fairview Avenue. And that's the consensus. I mean, the property's been sitting for almost 4 years now. And this would benefit us to get this changed too. I mean, because people really need, there's townhouses next to our property, you know, right on Fairview Avenue. There's a video store, there's townhouses. And across the street, there's commercial buildings, which is Westmont. So there's definitely a need for townhomes in Downers Grove on Fairview Avenue.
So basically what you're saying is that this request shouldn't be limited to this lot, it should be extended?
Correct. I mean, it's a need, I mean, some of the realtors stated it, that there's definitely a need. I mean, nobody wants to build a brand-new house on Fairview Avenue. I mean, that's plain and simple. I mean, these lots are going to sit empty for years. And I know the owners that I represent, don't want that to happen. I mean, somehow we need to make a change.
Thank you. Other comments?
I'm Raymond Ponstein. I live at 5736 Fairmount in Downers, resident for 60 years. I own half of the property along with my brother. And if you were considering this and doing a whole area, I could see it, but to place this as one spot in a whole block, I say it's not good. And as far as other houses being built, now right south of 63rd, there's been great improvement along the west side of that street with additions and remodeling and everything. And there's been a couple of houses in the last year that have gone up, and that's all residential from 63rd to 75th, and they don't seem to have trouble there. So I would say unless you're considering a bigger area, I don't think it's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience wish to address council on this topic?
Good evening. My name is Margaret Crowell. I actually live in Lamont and East Custer. And if you'll notice, I'm moving as I'm walking up here because this weekend I decided to do some gardening and mowing of the lawn. And I say that because I'm in the demographic where I would like to be looking at a townhome with an attached garage instead of a detached garage and yard that I now have because it's simply becoming a little bit too much upkeep. I have looked along this Fairview area, and it's just such a major artery to be looking to build single-family detached housing on. First of all, detached housing, most people don't really want anymore. They want that car to the garage attached. And second of all, to put a family in that type of environment right on a major artery just doesn't really make any sense. So what I'm trying to say is I would be looking at this type of a product coming from a different area because similarly, they don't really have this product in my area. So, thank you.
Other people have comments? Okay, first I want to thank everybody. I thought everybody was very calm and respectful and made very good, intelligent points that'll help us think about this issue. Again, this is first reading, no decision to be made this evening. I guess I'll ask my fellow commissioners if they have any further thoughts. My only thought I wish to share with my fellow commissioners is that the arguments for proceeding would extend beyond this one lot, and whether, I'm not making any judgment of how I would think about that, but I'm not sure that a single lot, to break the ice, so to speak, is the appropriate way to proceed from a planning point of view. So anybody else have any final thoughts they wish to add? Commissioner Barnett?
Thanks, Bill. Full disclosure, I just spent the last 2 months moving my parents to Downers Grove. And what we did was looked from Lyle to 294, from about 55 to Ogden for a single-family first floor master in a attached residence. You're right, couldn't find them. There were probably 6, and they went like that in that whole market area. But that's not the question that's before us right now. The question before us is not, is there a market for this product? It's just not. The question before us is, should we, in the processes that this village governs in, adjust our planning documents for a single development? That's what I'm struggling with. That's not the same as the product's not needed. It's not the same as the spot's bad for it. It's not the same as I don't like the development. But we do these processes very much so that we maintain and try and manage expectations of everybody else. Every lot in town has a zoning, and every lot in town is affected or adjacent to a future zoning map, so people know what to expect when they buy, what to expect when they develop. for the moment, this stretch of the town, very much on purpose through a process that got us there, says it shouldn't be multifamily attached residences. It should be single-family detached. Should it be that way forever? We're not saying that up here. I'm not saying that. And there's a lot of evidence, I think, that you guys presented that says this is a great spot for such a development. But I'm really reluctant, because our job is to maintain process and expectations for everybody in town, to just change for this development because there's some lots that haven't sold, or some lots in bad condition, or there's a market demand for a certain product. I would encourage everybody, particularly all the realtors, I mean, the developer that's here is going to hate this comment, but all the realtors that are here, that live here, that are doing this every day, should be in our ear nonstop about what needs to change, what areas need to be changed. One-off redevelopment, one-off changes of zoning is a bad process, and we're reluctant to do it, which is why you're seeing, I think, the decisions that are nothing but reluctance. We like the idea, and the input is valuable, but we're reluctant to operate that way. There's this zoning process and this long-term development process and the future land use map and our comprehensive plan are important for everybody's long-term benefit. Take some of this stuff off the table. Stormwater, we hear about that every time anybody wants to develop anything. The fact is, if it's done right, it has to improve it and to be complying with the rules. It's not going to make it worse. Everybody thinks it will, only if it's screwed up from an engineering standpoint. Same thing with traffic, same thing with everything we hear about. Your village taxes a dollar amount. We're not going to get another nickel. Not one more nickel from 5 new homes, 10 new homes, 15 new homes. Other people will pay a little less maybe, but we won't get more money for it. Those aren't the issues. The issue is process and zoning and how you go about changing it. At least it is for me. So I'm appreciative that people want to be here, and I love the fact there's a market demand for it. I'm not, at this point, feeling like the right way to move forward is to one-off change. So I want to say that because I want everybody to understand that nobody, at least from me, is disagreeing with any of the proponents' comments about this, none at all. But keeping specifics about money and stormwater and traffic and those things are important to understand, because those aren't what drive process change either. So that's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Other comments? Are we good for this evening? I think this will come at a future agenda.
We'll talk to the petitioner about next steps, and we'll keep the council informed.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure, come back. Well, why don't you come back to the podium, because people are watching at home, and if you don't speak in the microphone, I'll hear you, but no one else will.
I was curious, how long has the property looked in disarray like it does?
I don't know.
You don't know?
What, how long the property's been the way it is?
Yeah, I mean, you saw the pictures of it. I wouldn't want to live next to that. I don't see, all I see is the benefits.
Okay. Again, I actually would echo
Years and years
Commissioner
of
Barnett's
property
comments
being
here.
disarrayed.
Yeah, I'd echo Commissioner Barnett's comments here that this isn't the only property that has those characteristics along Fairview Avenue. So, I'm sorry, yes, I did say you have a final chance. I'm sorry, I did.
We're all familiar with this area, right? We're all familiar. I know that the property, I've talked to the owner to the north of this property, the owner to the south of the property's here. The owner, there's then the next few, there's a couple houses, and then there's other properties, 3 properties for sale, and have been for sale for a very long time. So my thought process is, as a village, why can't we look at, this whole area? It's a lot of it is blight. It's in poor condition. In changing the zoning to this product that is so needed in this community. You have a development on Maple that are townhomes. None of them have masters on the first floor, and you look onto a gas station. Okay, and they're sitting. So my thought process is, I drive by this, and you guys probably all drive by this too. I don't know if when you were doing the comprehensive plan that you really, really focused on this particular area of Fairview, saying, hey, here we have commercial, and here we have apartments across the street, and that's why these homes have been sitting here for so long, for sale. So I'm wondering if, how you as a board would consider, rezoning for future use.
Let me, I think I know where you're going with that, and I feel comfortable that I can answer that for this evening, that the present file, the present matter that's on our agenda is an inappropriate venue to ask that question. That may be a good question, but it needs to be properly developed through staff, it needs to be properly developed. The community at large was not notified that we might be considering changing large, so we cannot do that. We cannot consider that question until the appropriate procedures are followed, so the entire community knows what we're talking about. We can't say, all of a sudden we're going to do all of this. No, we only have the one parcel. And that's why I think the village manager's suggestion was that there'll be conversations after this meeting regarding the appropriate procedure going forward, because I'm not prepared to be pinned down in any position this evening. And I think you heard pretty unanimously that even if we're inclined to think there could be some issues here, maybe not, doing it as a single one-off, one-lot change is not the right way to go. And as far as where we go from here, we cannot consider anything outside we should not consider outside the parameters of the petition that's being presented. And it's totally unfair to everybody for us to be talking about changing the zoning up and down Fairview Avenue until everybody's told that's what's on the agenda. And there's been appropriate time for input from everybody, not just the neighbors of this lot. So I really don't want to enlarge the discussion this evening until we have the proper procedure in place to do that.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next item.
The next item on tonight's first reading agenda is consideration of an award of contract to ALAP Contractors for the 2018 new sidewalk installation program. Here to present background information.
Okay, can we just let people are leaving? Maybe just take a minute and let people empty the room. Yeah. Thanks. I was thinking about that.
Rolling out. They gotta collect their stuff.
Excuse me?
They're gonna collect their stuff.
Oh, she says she has her stuff too. Okay. Sorry about that. It's just something you realize we're listening to you and we're seeing people.
No problem. The next item on tonight's first reading agenda is consideration of an award of contract for the 2018 new sidewalk installation program. Our Public Works Director, Nan Newland, is here to present this item. Nan.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This first item is a bid, award of bid to a contract for new sidewalk installation to ALAP Concrete Contractors of Schaumburg in the amount of $179,984. This is for sidewalk construction in the West Burlington area. I'm going to show you a couple of slides. It can be a little confusing because we're building several different pieces of sidewalk this year and next year. This is for sidewalk on Drendel, north of Indianapolis. We had talked about sidewalk south of Indianapolis last week, but this is north of Indianapolis where we are not doing the drainage work we're doing to the south. And is also on Cross Street south of Paddock. That's shown here in green, what we're proposing as part of the package tonight. What's shown in orange on this exhibit is what's going to be constructed with the drainage improvement contract that will be bid later this year. And then what's shown in yellow is planned to be built next year. So that will complete the sidewalk construction through this neighborhood on one side of each street. We did take this project out to bid. We received 4 bids. ALAP was the low bidder. They've completed similar projects for the village of Downers Grove as well as for other communities, and we do recommend award of this contract to ALAP. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the council? Okay, we can move to 7C. Or is there multiple here? Did I get those?
Items, the remaining items on tonight's first reading agenda all have to do with conveyance of land and easement agreements with the Forest Preserve District. These address new development issues near the Hidden Lake Forest Preserve and longtime existing conditions near Maple Grove Forest Preserve along Gilbert Avenue. Nan is here to answer any questions. These are largely housekeeping items that the council, or previous councils, have already weighed in on.
Anybody have any questions? And actually, I forgot to ask, anybody in the audience have any questions about either of these items? I assumed there wasn't, so. If we have no questions, that would conclude tonight's first reading.
Thank you.
Okay. So I guess the next item on our agenda is the Mayor Pro Tem's report. So a very brief report. I'll just mention that Grove Fest. It's still the Sears Tower. I'm sorry. It's Rotary Grove Fest, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's in 10 days, and when Commissioner Wallace gives her report, we'll look for some extended details. I don't know the hours and the minutes like Martelli does, but I do know it's in 10 days. And I believe our coffee with the council is this upcoming Saturday morning?
I believe that will be supplanted by the council booth at the Rotary Grove.
Okay, fine.
instead.
Okay, that's the end of my Mayor Pro Tem's report. Manager's report?
This week's coffee with the council has been moved to the Rotary Grove Fest. No report tonight.
Attorney's report?
Thank you. Yes, 3 items to present. The first is an ordinance authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the Forest Reserve District of DuPage County providing for the conveyance of certain property within King's Forest Reserve. An ordinance authorizing an easement agreement for a public sidewalk on the north side of Maple Avenue within the Maple Grove Forest Reserve. And an ordinance authorizing an easement agreement for Gilbert Avenue improvements within the Maple Grove Forest Reserve. That is all.
Okay. Item 11 on our agenda are council member reports that allows individual members of the council to report on happenings in the community or their board and liaison positions. Liaison positions. I'll start with Commissioner Waldeck. Any report tonight?
I have no report.
Commissioner Wallace. I hear there's a great band playing at Rotary Grove
Thank
Fest.
you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, I got really excited about tonight because Mayor Tully wasn't here. No offense, Mayor Tully. And then you almost stole my thunder. Rotary Grove Fest is in 9 days. I counted 9 days. I'm not including today because it's practically over. So 9 days. It is from Thursday, June 21st through Sunday, June 24th. And yes, since Mayor Pro Tem White mentioned it, lots of great bands, particularly a fantastic band starting at 2:45 on Saturday, June 23rd, Valius, which is my husband's band. And the fantastic Manager Fieldman also has a young student playing in a band on Sunday as well. So lots of great things, good food. If you're looking to volunteer, we still need some volunteers. You can go to www.rotarygrovefest.com. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnett?
So for those of you Metro riders that are out there that are constantly impressed by Metro's increasing service levels, the Friends of Downers Grove Public Library are trying to help you out, or at least maybe change the ride down a little bit. They've created a rack at the track, which is a rack of books that are donated, free for the taking. Target is the train riding Friends of the Library. Stop by, visit it, maybe you can pick up a good book and take your mind off of Metro as you ride.
And when you finish, can you put the book back on the rack?
I'm sure you can, but I don't know. That's it.
Thank you. With that, anybody else have anything further? The chair invites a motion to adjourn.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to adjourn.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. No one objects. Meeting adjourned. Saturday night?